go, guys. Just saw a fish like come to the surface over there. Freaking thing in the water. That's amazing. Oh my god! Here we go, guys. Right after it hit the water. Look, this is exactly where we're looking for. Here we go, guys. Oh my god. He absolutely hammered this spinnerbait. Big old small Snapchats of him before we let him go. We might be fishing with this spinnerbait for a little bit longer. Getting out of here. Alright, guys.
$3.
One day,
same tree.
Oh
my god, I'm so
woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say bye, Kevin?
I did. I already did. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Smoked it, buddy. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes the shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers.
All right, guys. Deer Shot Podcast, episode 42. We are continuing with our spring theme this week, and we're going to be talking about river fishing, specifically smallmouth bass fishing. I got Luke here, Leaky John Boat. I got Gavin Gray, Wildtine TV. Gavin's been on at least 4 times, maybe 5. I think he may have been on more than Luke. We've talked about this in the
Gavin's
intro.
definitely got me beat on my own podcast.
I think Gavin's been here more than Luke has for his own podcast. But we're going to shoot the shit a little bit here in the beginning. Just kind of break ourselves in. It's been a long week. It's Saturday. This will be airing on Monday, right after Mother's Day. We've kind of been slacking on getting our podcast recorded earlier in the week. We've been doing the weekends. Just been crazy busy. It's turkey season around here. Gavin was able to actually kill a turkey bird, something that me and Luke have not been able to do.
Yep.
I have had my opportunities, but I've just not quite had it line up yet. I've been around some birds getting killed, but Gavin, you ended up getting yourself a longbeard, huh?
Yeah, I shot a longbeard. I think it was a week and a half ago. It was May 1st, so whatever that lines up to be. Permission piece. I've killed four or 5 birds off the piece that I actually killed this one off of. So it's been a proven spot, and me and Drake had permission there. We slipped in.
Did you get on film?
Yeah.
Whole thing?
Yep, Drake filmed it. Well, there wasn't much to it other than the turkey kind of just ran into frame for Drake, and I shot him perfectly in frame. So, but no, it's on film, and it was right off the roost, so quick, easy hunt.
So, like, when it comes to turkey hunting, I either get really good footage of gobblers that never come into range, or the bird just comes into range for like half a second, and you just see the bird die real quick. And,
Yep.
Like, I never can actually, it's very hard for me to line up beautiful long footage and a good kill shot. Like, the two things are, it's either or, you know?
Yeah.
But that's just the way turkey hunting goes. Luke loves turkey hunting.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of turkey hunting. I think Have
you gone out this year?
No.
Are you going to?
Heck yeah, Luke.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You got one more week, and it's not very fun out there now. It's getting warm and
my free time, I'm smalleye fishing, so.
Yeah.
Since the last podcast aired, we actually did kill a bird. We went down to the Gore camp. Me, Matt, and Chris went down to the Gore Farm, Southern Ohio. And we ended up killing one of those birds, had another encounter with Whitey. Dylan, I don't remember if he had killed this bird before our last podcast or not, but Dylan killed a bird in PA without a camera. He took the camera gear from the shop here, put it on his front porch, and then didn't transfer it over to his truck and drove up to Pennsylvania and didn't have the camera gear with him and killed a bird opening morning up there. So
Was he solo?
Yep, he was solo, and he obviously, that just the way he actually called it on drive up there. He's like, damn it, I forgot the equipment, and I'm going to kill a bird. And he did kill a bird that first morning.
That's how it goes.
Theoretically, we are leaving on Thursday to go up there and hunt turkeys and fish, but it all depends on the weather. Right now, the forecast is iffy again, and if it's going to be a downpour rain, we're just not going to go.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, if it's going to be downpour rain, don't go.
Yeah.
Because we went to trout camp and we didn't even get to do anything with it because
Yeah, we didn't. You guys never saw a video for trout camp or heard your podcast about trout camp. You heard a bunch leading up to. We actually recorded one while you guys were there, but the weekend came. The crew that was supposed to go out and meet you guys, like the second half of the crew, ended up not going because they got kicked out of the campground.
Yep.
And the water was just a monsoon
washout.
came and it was a washout.
yeah.
You were up there, right, Gavin?
Yeah, I was
you were-
up there and we stuck it out through the whole weekend and they left. But
Did you catch any fish after the rain?
yeah, I know we caught like one on like a Saturday or a Friday when it rained real hard. And then we we probably caught 10 on that Saturday. So, but it wasn't enjoyable fishing. You're basically just casting in, your stuff's flying down river.
Yeah, like the
Not
moment you get, by the
enjoyable.
time you get your bail flipped, you're already
Yeah.
slacked out and it's just behind the eight ball.
Yeah, definitely not enjoyable fishing. But
This is the latest it's been ever for me to go up to Pennsylvania. I haven't been there yet, and it's May 10th or 11th or 9th or something like that. And I haven't been up there yet, but I'm hoping the weather holds off because the wife gave me the go ahead to leave for like 2 nights. So
when does PA season close for turkeys?
June 1st. Well, it's like it goes May 1st to May 31st.
Okay.
So they open late and they open late and they stay open real late because Ohio ends this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah.
Ohio's is coming to a close. As always, if you're listening to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, leave a comment, like the video, share it with your friends. Tell us if you hate it. Tell us if you love it. Either way, feedback is good. And the last little BS here before we get into our topic is the cell cams in front of me here. I have about 10 Tacticams and I have 6 Spartans that we're going to be selling here locally. I don't want to ship them if I don't have to. I will ship them if required. But if anyone local here to the deer shop wants to buy some cell cams, I got, I think, six or 7 of the Gen 1s, and then I got some Gen 2 or Tacticams. And I have 1 video capable Gen 3. I don't know the exact model numbers, but we have a whole bunch of Tacticams for sale, and then we have the 6 Spartans. 4 of them are Go Cams, 2 of them are Go Lives. I'll cut you a deal. We're selling them all, consolidating to 1 cell cam company. We actually have a Stealth and a couple Moultries for sale also.
Yep.
That we'll part with those real cheap. So if you want to spend $20,
Yeah,
$10,
something
you can
like
have the
that.
Stealth cam, but we're selling a bunch of cell cameras. So if you're local and you want some cell cams, send us a message. I want to get rid of these in the next couple months. I'm not in a big hurry on it. We don't really need the cameras till July or August, but we want to start building up our new fleet of cell cams. But that is a podcast for another day. I've already rambled on long enough. I was only going to be the MC for this. I wasn't even supposed to talk in this podcast. But we're here talking about river fishing, small streams inland, northeast Ohio. We have a bunch of slow-moving gravel, mud-bottom streams in our area that you guys have been fishing, and I have been fishing for a real long time. I guess I'll let Luke kind of start on, the history of the river fishing for us, going back over the years.
Yeah, so we are fishing around here. We have we're in the small tributaries to Lake Erie, like the very beginning of all of the tributaries that run into Lake Erie. World-class smallmouth fishing on the lake, in the rivers, during especially this time. But where we are, it's the smaller parts, and we have resident fish. So the biggest thing for us is hammering the fish. We fish these fish all summer pretty much, but we start right about now.
Yeah.
Gavin was out
Yeah.
this week, and he texted me. He's like, I caught, what did you catch, 10, 12 fish?
Yeah. I 15 smallmouth, I think, slayed them.
Something crazy like that, in a couple hours.
Yeah.
I put out my first smallie video last week from the week before, so smallmouth fishing is just getting started here,
Yep.
and it's kind of a unique fishery. We have lots of there's a lot of places to go. There's these fish are in the river everywhere you could go, but where am I going with this?
What you're looking for is access to the river where you can have some deeper, longer runs.
Yep.
So these rivers here, they pool up, they get shallow, and they run. They pool up, they get shallow, they run. The pool ups actually change based on log jams over
Oh, yeah.
time.
Yep.
But
Oh, yeah.
we have some historical spots, low head dams, etc., where there's a lot of good fish. And when Luke says resident fish, he truly means resident fish because, up closer to Lake Erie, all these rivers are dammed and locked up. But but between there and here, which is probably 30, 40 mile stretch of the river, there's lots of lowhead dams where these smallmouth bass are unable to go back and forth. So the fish that we're fishing for here have never been in Lake Erie, even though Lake Erie has, the greatest smallmouth fishery in the world, etc. These fish here are truly resident fish that never leave these single stretches of river, a couple miles long where they're at. But, we have a lot of public access. Private access is a big thing. Most farmers are not afraid to give access to a fisherman.
Yeah, it's really easy to get.
Theoretically, as long as you stay in the water and it's deep enough, you can park on a bridge and walk up and down the creek.
Actually, that's like a myth.
Well, as long as
Ohio.
it's navigable, right?
If you stay, say you have a kayak.
Or tube.
Or 2 kayaks, yeah.
Tube.
Or tube.
T-U-B-E, tube.
I was going to say, what's going on there? But you say you have a kayak, you can put it in a bridge, and you can float from bridge to bridge, or bridge to public, or public to bridge, whatever you want to do. But in Ohio, you cannot step foot on the dirt or whatever underneath the river.
Really?
Unless it's the Ohio River, which is different. That's a whole different ballgame. We don't go down there and do that, but
we have tried that.
We've tried it.
It's tough.
But it's a little bit different.
I actually just spent some time trying to fish the Muskingum real close to the Ohio, and that was a fail. It's a bad fail.
So the rules are a little bit different. Like, you got to get permission. And
theoretically, right, like you said, if you can float it and stay above and stay off the bottom, it's public. You can't walk bank to bank to bank. A lot of the landowners around here aren't real big sticklers on that.
Right. Like,
these rivers aren't, we're in a rural area, so a lot of these rivers are not flowing through backyards. They're farm fields, woods, Obviously, if they want, by the letter of the law, like Luke said, if they wanted to, what's the word I'm looking for? If they wanted to prosecute you, they could. Yeah. But, we haven't had that many problems up here.
So a very common thing is to go to a bridge and fish, and you can fish off the bridge, and most people will get down off the bridge and fish on the bank, and no one's going to say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's very common to do that. We see people doing that all the time, any bridge around here.
But there is public access to a lot of these rivers.
There is public access, and I actually just fished a public access, and I was surprised about how many people I saw.
Yeah, it's just like anything else. It's, the involvement of sportsmen, theoretically, they say is dropping. There's less hunters and fishermen than there ever was before. But the area to do them in is so much smaller that we're seeing an influx of people in these areas. 10 years ago, we didn't see anyone fishing these rivers.
No.
Yep.
Like, never.
Even last summer, this public piece I went to, I think I went probably 5 or 6 times, and I didn't see a single person the whole time. And on Monday I fished, I think I saw 2 groups of people. So I saw 3 kids, and then I saw a father and a son.
Well, you do know for a fact that there are people who have watched your videos and then recognize the location. Friends of ours, even like neighbors and acquaintances that have then, hey, that looks like a good spot to go.
That might
and have started fishing. Well, you actually live local, but there's other people that have done that we've seen have reached out to you like, oh, I know where that spot's at, and started fishing it. Which, that's part of the YouTube thing. You put it out there.
And people are going to come, and
people are going to find it.
That does blow my mind that you saw a good amount of people over there. I've never heard of anyone else going over there and fishing.
I've never even, it's just, maybe it's just this time of year, because right now it's like, if you live in this area and you're going to say fish the Rocky River up by Cleveland or Lakewood, now is the time to go to catch smallmouth.
Yep.
And even though in the summertime around here, you can catch the same amount of fish in July or August as you can today here, but up there,
yeah, it's a lot different.
And there's also a couple million people in that metropolitan area.
Oh, yeah.
Down here, there's only 100,000 in the whole county. So, but it is starting to take off. And you'll see that more in the summertime. Kids aren't in school, so they're fishing and stuff, which is not a bad thing.
Which is a great thing. I love seeing people down there. Honestly, it's a great thing to see. And that's
just not during turkey hunting.
It could be a couple of weeks from now when turkey season's over, be better. But
But yeah, we have a spot that we've all been fishing. We all grew up right here. Gavin grew up right down the road. We have a spot that we've all been fishing for years, and we if I list off the number of fish I've caught from this small stream, species wise, like, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
so you got the
really
smallmouth,
cool to think about.
You got creek chubs,
yep,
rock bass, bluegill,
yep,
red ear sunfish / pumpkin seed. Some of those red eared variety of sunfish we've caught. Largemouth bass.
Yep.
Yellow perch.
Yep.
Crappie.
Crappie.
Crappie. The fish that we haven't caught, and we talked about it before we started the podcast, I've tried and tried and tried and tried, and I've never caught a channel catfish. Or I think I may have caught a bullhead, but I've never caught a channel catfish fishing that spot, and I don't know why.
No one.
I've chicken livered the bottom overnight. I've done night crawlers on bobbers at 2:00 in the morning, and I've never been able to catch a channel cat in this stretch of river. But theoretically, there should be some. Carp, there's common carp.
Yeah.
Forgot about carp. Suckers, white suckers.
Yep. The channel catfish thing, I don't know what's going on with that because most of these fish, so like
maybe the dams hinder their movement from the lake, obviously. And maybe when the rivers flood, because these rivers are very prone to really bad flooding, like over the banks into the cornfields multiple times a year.
Yep.
Maybe when it floods, these fish venture out of the channel of the river and get pooled up and die in the fields. I mean, there's just a lack of catfish where you would think there should be native, historically, catfish.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like one of the main things that like I see is like, so we catch yellow perch, right? But they're native to here and they're native to Lake Erie.
Right.
I mean, there's yellow perch in Lake Erie. It's obviously a humongous fishery and people come from all over the world catching yellow perch. But I don't think the yellow perch that we catch, I've only caught like 5.
Yeah, I mean,
over the last 15 years. So it's not like we're catching them all the time.
If you're fishing with a small white jig or like a bobber
Yeah.
or a worm, you can catch the yellow perch. And they're not big, but
I think they come from ponds. Like they come from the drains from ponds.
I would argue that historically, before all the dams existed, they came from the lake.
I don't think that if we go 10 miles in either direction of the river we're talking about and fish, we'll catch a yellow perch ever.
You don't think so?
Really?
I think they're in there because there's like a low head dam that like builds the river up for a couple miles. Mm-hmm. It has deep pools, and I think they can survive in there because they came out of ponds. But I don't think that we're going to go down. We're going to go 20 miles north, halfway in between here and the lake, and catch them.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Let's find a place and try.
Yeah.
We could. I mean, it wouldn't be very hard.
Let's just get some fishing permission somewhere.
But I think that a lot of these fish, like the crappie, are coming from ponds.
Well, okay, so there's a major public waterway close to here that stocks crappie.
Yep.
It stocks catfish.
Yeah.
You would think those catfish spawn would get into the river. I mean, it overflows into that river. So I don't know why it doesn't, but you would think with the channel catfish that there would be some.
I mean, there could be. How many times do we actually fish for them, though?
I've done some.
I know you have.
If you fish there for 4 hours, the chicken livers on the bottom, 2 or 3 rods in a stretch, you should catch. If there's a catfish, you should catch one.
I guess you're right.
That's pretty simple. I'm catching largemouth bass every cast.
Yeah.
When I'm doing that, like the bass are eating the chicken liver, you would think the catfish would too.
Yeah.
But regardless,
we should get a professional on here and talk about it because there's people we can contact and we could talk. We could have a whole podcast about.
I mean, I would love to
all that stuff.
love to know more about catching native channel cats. I would love to do that. We catch farm pond catfish here. I mean, they're stocked from Texas. They're not from Ohio. They're not the ones that are in Lake Erie. The catfish we're catching in these ponds aren't the Lake Erie channel cats. The natural ones. But yeah, I mean the stretch of river has a ton of different fish. Luckily, no invasive carp. We've never ran into pike and or anything like that, pickerel, but there is some pike in some waterways close to here. We have natural waterways that have natural northern pike, which I've never caught one. I know you've tried.
I've caught a few on the other side of the watershed since we're in a really unique spot to where
that's the Ohio River drainage.
I can go 5 minutes and I can catch a pike because it's a completely different watershed. It's the Ohio River watershed, so.
Ghost just opened the door.
Yeah. But I can, which is super cool. And that's a conversation for another day, but we've only caught a few. We've tried several times.
Are you catching pike or are they pickerel?
Pike. I mean,
they are northern pike.
30-inch northern pike. Break your line off every time. You're lucky if you get them in.
My buddy who fishes that a lot, and he hasn't fished it this year, but he used to. He catches a shit ton of bowfin. Yeah. Ton of bowfin down there.
And we've never caught a bowfin up here.
I mean, he catches them. He uses shrimp as bait, and he catches 10 bowfin a night. And he says they fight like hell.
I'm sure they do.
I've never caught a bowfin.
I have caught bowfin, but not very often. Not here.
Is there any sawguy or sauger or walleye in the river stretch that we're talking about right now by us?
There's no walleye, even though it's connected to the lake area. The water is not good enough.
Okay.
And if it wouldn't matter because they can't swim this far up anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's too many dams in between here and Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not. There's never going to be walleye residential in a creek this small. So
That's true. That's true. Obviously, the steelhead don't make it up here. We're
No
way,
steelhead, nope.
way too far in.
this is a major steelhead tributary, though.
Yeah, it is a major steelhead tributary, but I almost made a slip that said before the Lowhead dams, when the steelhead could run naturally, but there weren't any steelhead in Lake Erie then because they're not technically steelhead. Those were all
Right.
introduced.
Yeah, these are just rainbow trout that they let go. But
So that brings up a nice little fact tidbit for fishing while here. When the Native Americans were here before the white man, there was no rainbow trout and or steelhead in the watershed at all, right? That was all 100% man introduced.
yeah, all of the rainbow trout are from the West Coast, and then they bring them over. We just stock them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they would, if we stopped stocking them, they
Do you
might live for a
think
little bit.
They'd
but-
eventually
Do
die
you
off.
think prior to commercialization and development that there was brook trout in this watershed?
Yes.
You think there was? Because if you look at a map of Appalachia, and I know the brook trout is an Appalachian fish, comes from the small streams up in the mountains. We're one county away from being able to call ourselves hillbillies or Appalachian. Like the next county over technically is in an Appalachian county, but ours is not. We're in a flatland county. Because we're on the south side of a flatland county, we have hills, but
Yeah.
we're that close to being Appalachian. But we've never caught. Obviously now there's no native brook trout left in this area of Ohio.
Actually, there is.
I haven't ever ran into any.
So it's illegal to fish for them.
Yeah.
But in this county, there is brook trout.
Do you know a stream where there is some?
No, I don't know where it's at.
I've heard of
But they say that, like,
I've heard.
Dodianar tells us, like, there's a stream somewhere in this county.
It makes you wonder when we were kids catching chubs and stuff in these small, even smaller creeks than the one that we're discussing.
Yeah.
I've caught some dace and stuff, some minnows, some dace of that family, bunch of different species. That's a podcast for another day, but some of them had some pretty colorful like breakdowns. Like the red-sided dace looked like a small trout. One of them was
it's such a shame because in Ohio they don't care about the trout. Like, so we go to Pennsylvania for trout camp and all that stuff, and they
Huge
are
operation.
It's a huge thing, and there's so much conservation, and there's so much money being poured into it. Here, it's like
millions and millions.
Oh,
here it's all about the walleye.
Yeah,
They don't
walleye
care.
and perch.
It's all about the walleye and,
And
the
then
perch.
in these stupid inland lakes by us, it's all about stocking channel catfish and largemouth bass.
Yeah.
Pumped up.
Yep.
Hybrid bluegills, not even real bluegills.
Yep.
Those Texas hybrid bluegills.
And it's really such a shame because I feel like Ohio could have. Well, we lack the public land too, so I guess that's.
Yeah. We do talk about public access to these streams, but you got to kind of be in the know because in the grand scheme of things, there's not any public land worth a shit where we're at.
No, it's just one of the things about Ohio.
Ohio does have a good muskie program, but nowhere near
Yep.
us. We are not in a muskie area.
We'd have to drive about an hour and a half to be in a muskie area, and it's expensive to fish for muskie.
Yeah, and Ohio puts a lot of money into the muskie fishery, but compared to Minnesota, Wisconsin,
Right.
like the Great Lakes up that way, ours is just a joke, laughable. The St. Lawrence Seaway and stuff, like we have some stocked fish that'll hit 55, 60 pounds, but very, very rare. Very rare.
I mean, I know a guy that he fishes, like that's what he fishes for, and he catches probably 10 to 20 fish a year. And he fishes every weekend.
You know what we should do? Just spitballing with us three sitting here. We should make an effort at trying to catch muskie at trout camp in the summer.
I know, it would be cool.
Because there are guys, I've talked to guys down there that kill them.
Like,
Really?
Kill them.
where we go it's a huge muskie place.
popular.
People drive from across the country to go fish for muskie there, and we're just like standing there.
We're over there
trying to
fishing
catch
power
trout.
bait, 10 beers in our vest, like pissing in our waders because we're so drunk. And then there's a guy 5 miles
So
down,
serious.
5 miles down the river. There's a guy that came from like Zimbabwe fishing for muskie.
Yeah.
Like, and we don't even care.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to the dam, as you guys know, the dam. We went there and there was people muskie fishing. He's like, oh, there's one right there. We saw him right on the edge of the dam through the water.
If you get lucky in the summertime and go up there, like when we tube and stuff,
We've seen 'em.
You can look down off the bridge where we fish.
Okay.
You can see them swim through. Like it's incredible.
Yeah, that is really
I mean,
cool.
seeing a 40, 45-inch muskie in a creek as wide as this fucking room, it's like
when we're trying to catch 12-inch trout.
something. Another side note, I got Gavin here. I was checking out some of my old minnow fishing holes the other day, and I found one of Gavin's tree stands perched right above it.
What?
I found a tree stand of yours.
Where?
Think about it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The
It's in a it's in a cottonwood
Yeah,
tree as big around as this bar top.
That's not even mine. My brother hung that, but I hung.
I was just
was
checking.
very-
Does he own there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
He
so
owns
it's right
the
on the
river.
corner.
I think the river's the property line, kinda.
Dude, like literally, if you're sitting in it, there's
Yeah.
a yellow pin, probably 6 yards from the base of the tree.
That's
Just-
no man's land. Who cares who owns that property? But what made me think about that is I checked we have one hole where we have like a creek chub explosion if you wanted to get some bait. And I drove by it on the side by side. I looked down. It was a perfect sunny day. Hadn't rained for a while. And there was like 20 creek chubs, 6, 7, 8 inches long.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. So I just took a little walk. And I haven't been down to that hole since I was probably 14 years old, 15 years old. But I'm like, I'm going to check all the old holes I remember on this creek. It's not as deep as it used to be, for one.
Well, you're 3 feet taller than you were the last time you were there.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. When I was
exactly.
a kid, that thing felt like it was like head deep.
Yeah, you're probably.
Yeah, like
thought
you could
were
go
in the
swimming and,
90s.
And there
now you
was-
can like step over
There
it.
was I didn't see very many creek chubs. There was a ton of dace, like the 2 or 3 different species of dace that were in
Yeah.
there. And like, what do they call them? What's the minnow, the striped minnow that we have in these now?
The yellow striped minnow?
No, it's black. It's got a black stripe. It's like a brown body with a black stripe.
I can't think of the name.
There's like, I should have brushed up on my minnow species before.
I bet Dad has a book.
Topside
I bet
dace,
Dad's got a
red side
book.
dace. Regardless, there wasn't very many creek chubs in that hole, but there was a bunch of the small dace, like millions of them. But
I'm gonna go off on a whim here, but like we have no creek chubs because we have no turkeys because all the no-till
because the
and all
frogs, because the frogs are gay.
yeah, the frogs are gay. Yeah, it's all comes back to like cloud seeding and the no-till and all
As
that good
soon
stuff.
as these asshole farmers started no-tilling soybeans, we lost our turkeys. We have no creek chubs left. The frogs turned gay. Catfish left the rivers. Like the world has changed all since that moment.
All right, so we're gonna talk about some smallmouth fishing or what?
The purpose of this podcast is smallmouth fish. So yeah, so you're showing up to go smallmouth fish on one of these local creeks. What rods are you using?
So typically, Gavin can answer these questions too, but I'm gonna be using a 6 to 7 foot, like medium light St. Croix, something expensive,
Yeah.
something flexible, something you can feel.
Yeah.
Probably with 10-pound braid,
No ugly sticks.
no ugly sticks. The ugly sticks, even though I've broken. I mean, last year, how many rods did you take out of the garage that were broken?
Dude,
5 rods.
So like I know every single person watching this has like a friend or a buddy or a family member or a wife or a brother that just like has a certain thing sitting around everywhere, just shit sitting around. And for Luke, it's fishing rods. An unbelievable
Breaks
amount
them.
of
And
fish.
half of them
And
are
I'll look
broken.
at them and they're broken. I'll just throw them in the dumpster. Like,
What are your plans with them when they break?
I hold on to them because I'm gonna put a tip on it, and then like
Never
Caleb just
do.
throws it away, and then it's gone. I just gotta get a new one.
well, I mean, I have an idea of what an expensive rod is. Like, I can Google it real quick.
Right.
$47.
Yeah.
Fuck this thing.
Well,
Not
so,
worth
so
it.
Caleb's the kind of guy that owns 5 fishing rods, and every single one of them is a St. Croix.
yeah,
He doesn't own
Yeah.
a cheap fishing rod.
I only own St. Croix rods with Fluger reels.
Yep.
I have like 5 of them from $100 to $500, and I'll never have to buy fishing rods again. Not counting our ocean fishing stuff. That's a whole different ball game. But
So 6 to 7 foot, medium light,
Yep.
10-pound braid, or 6-pound mono.
Okay. Yeah.
6-pound
depends.
mono is what I use.
6-pound mono is super easy to use because, I mean, it's stretchable, it's super thin.
Yeah.
It
But
ties better than braid.
It ties better with braid, but
can't
with braid,
stand
you can
tying braid.
feel the fish
Yeah.
fart
There's no stretch. Like, yeah.
on the lure. You can
If
feel
you guys
everything.
are watching on YouTube, that's a fisherman right there. Just
Loving it.
feel.
No, yeah.
Like it's like the most incredible thing. So fishing with braid is awesome, but in the summertime, when it gets super clear out,
yeah.
you gotta throw the 6-pound mono on, or you can throw a leader on. But I never have luck with leaders. I always end up breaking them off.
Yeah, leaders.
Really?
I hate.
I hate dealing with them.
Well,
That's why I don't.
and where we're fishing in these areas, this part of the techniques part, you're going to get snagged on half your casts.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared to lose your shit.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're tying leaders on, that's an extra knot, an extra
Yep.
swivel, an extra this, an extra
these
that.
little rivers in the middle of woods, we're trying to cast with, like you're saying, 6 to 7 foot poles. Like, we're getting snagged.
The water is the color of that turkey fan right there that you can see in the corner of the video. So and like we said, the log jams, you have to guess. Like when you're there for your first 20 minutes, the river has changed since the last time you're there, channel a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
logs. So you're like, oh man, that was a super good hole over there last time. And you cast and then bam, snagged instantly.
Yep.
That one's out of play now. You can't.
Like it's either like a stick, a rock, or like an old planter, or an old like tractor that the farmer dumped
We
in.
always called it an airplane when we were riverboat, but what was it? It was
I think it's a planter
a big planter.
or an old baler. It's something. It's red and yellow, so it's an old New Holland.
I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those pull behind ancient 1950s combines, but you like pulled it.
Yeah.
Like
That
you know
would
what I
make
mean?
sense,
Like it
too.
was non-powered.
Yeah.
Like it's there's just enough
know what
rusted
we're
away
talking-
that
you
you
know-
can't
They're offset,
that you can't
yeah.
like tell what
But
it
do you
is.
know where we're talking? Where it's at in that
Yeah.
river?
Yeah.
But there was this one spot in the river, and you would never, we never saw these rivers during the daylight at this point. There's this one spot in the river where we'd go around a bend, and there's machinery up, like 100-year-old machinery entwined in the bank, and we always called it an airplane for fun. But I think it's a baler.
Yeah, it's a baler or like a
combine.
pull behind like
Yeah.
single row combine chucker thingy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was abandoned a long time ago,
Yeah,
Been there a while.
but they're floating in the river, and they're,
You're always getting
I found some really cool junk in the rivers
Oh,
too.
yeah.
To go off on a tangent again.
So in my video that I'm editing after this podcast, I found an old canoe
Yeah.
and I found like a lure, but it was like old, like it was like a 1940s lure.
Collectible.
Yeah, like
Keep it.
You kept it?
No, I threw it away, but like 'cause it had a bunch of holes in it, but like. It looked super old. It wasn't
Yeah.
like some Walmart lure someone lost a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was like old.
Well, I'm a beer connoisseur, and like I'll find like a beer can I'll be looking at. I'm like, that's 26 years old. Like like there's old pop top beer
Yeah,
cans
yeah.
from like the 70s, 80s that
Yeah.
you'll find on the side of the road. Like that thing's been floating downstream for a long time.
Yeah. Where'd
Lot
it
of-
come from?
A lot of tires.
Oh, geez.
There is a massive amount of tires, and I think people just get rid of them
Yeah.
over the bridges.
We found
Probably. Yeah.
the one spot we fish. There's been a lot of multiple times we found where people have come from like Lake Erie or somewhere else and dumped like their filleted crappie.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Fish, like they'll just throw them over the bridge. Deer carcasses, tons of.
Yep.
I find tons of deer carcasses just floating in the river, like that have already been skinned and gutted, like
Yep.
leavings of butchering a deer.
Yep.
People think throwing them in the river is the thing to do, but
No, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I know that there's a refrigerator right below the bridge. I've found that a
like
couple times.
who's the fucking asshole that throws
Literally
a
a full
refrigerator
over the bridge. Yeah, I used to catch smallmouth off of it a lot. That's where I actually caught my first smallmouth out of that.
the
river.
bridge? Really?
Yeah,
See, I never caught too many by the bridge.
I've caught quite a few at the bridge.
that I was like so young. That was like before I went back in there.
So yeah, like 10 years ago when Gavin was like 9
10, all right?
7.
or whatever, like he was young. Like me and his older brother
Was young?
he still is young. Used to fish the river like after school in high school. We'd
I
like
got a video you got. Who's that kid that caught the carp I have the video of?
I've never caught a carp out of there. I've seen a lot.
He fished with you. I got an old 4x3 GoPro video of a Cody. He was in public safety with you.
Evan
Hodge.
Hodge. Yeah.
Evan
So
Hodge.
Evan, if you're listening to this, which I do think he does,
I got a
I
video.
think
You
he
catching
does
a
listen
nice,
to our podcast.
like a 20-pound carp.
And I think he watched our videos, but he caught like a 20-pound carp, which is super awesome. But there is big carp in there.
That was at the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There
big
is
carp in there.
You don't ever see the carp?
No, I see them. I've never
Don't
caught
catch
them.
'em.
I've
It's-
never tried.
It's
them.
very tough to catch them.
I'm not.
They're
That's-
fuckers.
I'm not.
You only
into
see them because
carp
they're
fishing.
breeding and they're not eating at the time.
Yep.
They've scared the crap out of me, like
Huge.
wading through and just like
Huge.
30-pound carp
Yeah.
swims right next to your foot. But
It's so hard to talk about this river and like these rivers around here because there's not much history about people fishing like these covered, like there's sand bottom, steep bank.
It's a unique thing for our area because we're in farmland. Like we said, 50 miles from Cleveland to the lake. There's a bunch of rivers that end up in Lake Erie because you can guess which ones they are. A bunch of rivers that end up in Lake Erie that flow through this area and are very young in their distance when we're fishing them, which is cool.
it is cool.
It's just a lot different. Like if you go on YouTube and like try to look up something like this, you're not going to find
Besides,
what we do.
You don't even name the rivers when you do your
No, I don't.
Yeah,
No.
and I wouldn't. But
Oh yeah.
the locals will know exactly what we're talking about. If you're nationwide, you'll have no clue. But it's cool though. So we talked about the what rod you're bringing.
Rod setup. Mine's very similar. I do my dedicated smallmouth rod. It's a medium action. It's not medium light. I would like to have it, and yeah, I run 6-pound mono on it with like a 2000 series reel. I think.
I run a 6-pound mono on everything I have pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very good all around.
Because all I'm ever doing is fishing this river, fishing for trout, and then occasional farm ponds. So
Yeah.
6-pound mono is fine.
Yep.
So you got that. So that's your setup. What are you throwing lure wise?
So lures can vary, but most of the time I'm throwing either a Ned rig, a Fire Tiger jerkbait. Like they just work super good around us. Maybe because there's perch in the river around us.
Yeah.
But it's like a perch colored jerkbait or like a small crankbait. Rebel crawls used to work really well. I don't really fish them anymore, but rebel crawls were a super good thing to use. And the mini spinner baits.
Yep, dude. That's what I was slaying them on.
Rooster,
the other day.
no,
not inline.
Not
Well,
like a
I got what you're saying.
inline, not an inline.
I would throw. So I was going to add to that I've thrown rooster tails and caught a good amount of fish, but they're not very heavy, and it's a problem with the current.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the spinner bait, the jerk bait you're talking about, got more weight to them, easier. Sometimes the spinner bait just flop to the top, or the rooster tails just flip to the top, and then they're kind of useless.
The Ned rig has always been a go-to. I mean, that's just a really good all-around smallmouth bait.
Any smallmouth fisherman is going to be like,
Ned
I use a Ned rig.
Yeah, but
And they'll only use a Ned rig.
You ever Texas rig with the
Yeah.
with the bullet weight?
Yep.
Yeah, like a Texas rig with a tube will work sometimes.
Not a bullet weight.
I used to throw the crap out of Texas rigs.
With a black or white night crawl, or black or white rubber.
That's what I used to do, and then Ned rig now, a spinner bait. I'm not too much into the jerk bait. I just
because you're gonna lose.
It's hard to throw them because you're going to lose it.
Yeah, I mean you got 6
You have to
hooks,
test the water first.
Yeah.
And then okay, I got a good stretch where there's no snags.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
switch my shit. I like to keep. So whenever I go down there, I use, instead of breaking down and retying every time, I'll have 3 rods. with
Yeah,
me.
just
So,
ready to rip.
Yeah, so I'll have one.
I used to throw a wacky rig a bunch. I don't anymore, but I used to catch a lot of fish. On
Luke has
wacky
his
rig.
wacky rig videos.
So yeah, last year I did I dedicated a whole day to wacky rig and it worked out pretty good.
Dude, I've caught a lot of fish on that rig. I mean, large amount to small amount.
That's what
It's
your
just-
fancy, famous buddies, the Googans, use when they're out in Texas and shit.
Yeah, I
Same
don't know.
good.
Those guys do all sorts of crazy stuff, but that's a whole different ballgame.
I took so for some reason I was on my computer doing something the other day. I had to go onto YouTube, and my homepage had some Guggen guys on it. And, there was some big feud or something. They're all fighting with each other about
So I haven't
a bait company. So they all have their baits coming from the same Japan factory, and someone was calling them out on their shit, and then it was
I believe
a bunch of drama. I'm like, this is ridiculous for fishing culture. Why do we need to have this kind of crap?
I looked into that a little bit when you texted me about it, and it's Sixth Sense, which is a super trendy bait company right now. A lot of these guys are buying all Sixth Sense. I think that's the name of it, something like that. I don't know. They're all buying that stuff, and it's all the same generic bullshit that all these other companies are using, the Walmart brands. And Guggen brand is, I believe, owned by Catchco, which also owns other small brand ambassador brands.
Yeah, it was Rob Turkle I was listening to, but he was talking about how they had the opportunity to start their own company, buy an existing company, or just be a franchise of a company, and they wanted to buy their own company, but so they did. So Guggen was their own company, but a lot of the internals for their lures all come from the same place in Japan as the other companies you're talking about. So they all sound the same and they all kind of look the same, but it's just it's a manufacturing. No one in America is making lures and selling them mass produced.
Right. As a person that works in manufacturing in America, it would be impossible.
The only
to
non-fireman on our crew, almost.
It would be impossible to to do any of that in America.
Yeah. Costs too much.
Yeah, so all these companies are using the same company from Japan or China or whatever, and they're just making their molds a little bit different or whatever.
And if you're a trail camera guy like me, this happened 10 years ago in the trail camera world. There was a point, if you were really deep diving into all the trail cameras, there was a point where there was 3 companies in Japan making everything.
Yep.
So your camera that you got from Cuddyback, Spartan, Covert, any stealth, they all came from the same 3 or 4 smaller or big companies in Japan. So you would have Coverts that looked exactly the same as an HCO, which looked exactly the same as a Bushnell, because they technically were the same cameras. Parts of them were assembled here in America. Blah blah blah. But it's a very common thing in the outdoor space where all this stuff is coming from the same 2 or 3 companies. I don't know how we got off on that.
This podcast is 100% not about what I thought it was going to be about, but it's still a podcast.
It's still, hey,
Bring it back, Luke.
You were
Bring it back.
complaining about only you were talking about last time how you couldn't get to 30 minutes,
and
we're
now
already at 40, and we're not even close to being done.
And we haven't even talked about what we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, we were on the
What
different baits.
we're on what you're throwing in these
Yeah.
small creeks. So now you got your rods, you got what you're throwing. When you're walking up to the side of these streams, what are you looking for to throw at?
The most important thing for me is to find like any kind of structure that's overhanging or creating a big, deep like hole.
Yeah. Yep.
You're going to fish that hole, but you're not always going to catch the fish in the deep spot. Like
No.
the biggest thing I've been noticing in the last couple of years is fishing the shallow water near the deep water.
Yeah.
Like the whole river's a foot deep at least, but you're going to catch the fish in the foot deep
People
water
are laughing because they're like, wait, a foot?
that's 10 feet from the deep water. The fish are going to hang out right by the deep water, but they're going to be in the shallow water.
Yeah. They're
Well, they're
hung
going to
up
be
right
in
on
the
edge.
they're going to be sitting in the deep water, and they're going to junt out into the shallow water to
Yeah.
feed, catch those minnows going by, those frogs. The gravel bottom smaller tributaries around here have a lot of crayfish.
Yep.
I've encountered crayfish in the big river, but there's a lot less.
Oh, yeah.
I think, in my opinion, in the
Yeah.
larger water because they're just getting predated on. In the
Yeah.
smaller creeks, the only thing that's eating them is raccoons.
Yeah.
Literally. The
There's
only
nothing.
thing-
There's nothing to eat.
You
them
can
up
go
there.
down to a creek behind the shop here, and we can catch a whole bucket full of crayfish in
Oh, yeah.
half an hour.
Yeah.
Flipping rocks. We go to these bigger rivers. You're going to flip rocks. You're going to have some crayfish jut out, but not a ton. Frogs. Same with frogs.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of frog habitat. I mean, you're going to have frogs, but there's way more frog species in that small creek behind the shop.
So speaking of that, I've thrown crayfish imitations like plastics that look like crayfish a lot,
Oh yeah.
and I never really catch that many fish on them.
I've caught some smallmouth down there, and those little they're like crankbaits with
Yeah.
The rebel-
I know,
tiny lip.
rebel,
Yeah, tiny.
That, I'm
lip.
not really considering that like it just looks like it, but that's not really what it's imitating.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
But
I've
like
caught some on that.
The plastics, they just don't produce as much as like a Ned rig would or
Yeah.
a wacky rig or even like a worm.
I mean, a real nightcrawler is still my favorite, but
Yeah, then you're catching all sorts of stuff though.
old timer over here.
yeah, cane pole and a worm, man, that's all you need.
Yep. What is your PB smallmouth? You know,
I was gonna bring that.
I don't know what it is,
don't know exactly.
but I know it's over 3,
yeah.
probably under 4. I
mean,
do have
on video, you
there's
caught-
a video of my PB. I didn't measure it.
You caught a couple in the, I would say, 18 to 21 range, maybe.
My PB is over 20,
Yeah,
one at least.
that's a big smallmouth.
I caught one years ago out of the river, and I mean, I remember weighing it. It was over 3.5 pounds. I know that. That's when we weighed it. And I caught one the other day, and it was up there, dude. I didn't have a scale with me.
So
but-
we've
I mean, we're
caught, like-
40. We're 40 miles from 10-pound smallmouth, like world record. The world record is now from Lake Erie, right? So Dale Hollow Lake,
I don't think so.
Dale Hollow Lake in Kentucky held the record forever, and it was like 10 something, maybe 11.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Lake Erie recently has had a couple smallmouth, like 11, 12.
I'm not sure if Lake Erie's taken the record.
It
might have.
It's close. I guess I have the ability to fact check it at some point, but
Yeah.
it is getting like Lake Erie has smallmouth that could challenge the world record.
I mean, I'm sure the world record lives in Lake Erie.
Yeah,
I'm sure of it.
Oh yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Just because of how many fish there are there. And it's a huge body of water.
Yeah, definitely.
What's that big lake that starts with the C that has all the smallmouth?
Cumberland.
No, tournaments up here. It's on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, I think, maybe.
High Matooning?
Nope. Chattanooga, Chautauqua. Chautauqua.
Lake Chautauqua.
So my buddy.
I don't know where that is.
It's up like New York, Pennsylvania.
Is it?
isn't
Yeah, I think
okay.
it's. It might not even be Ohio, but this got my wheels spinning again. My buddy that I work with, Joe Palmer. First time Joe Palmer's been mentioned on the podcast, I think. He's won a number of smallmouth tournaments up on Chautauqua. And he's catching 5-6 pounders, like
Really?
30-pound bags, and
So actually-
winning like big money
Last year
on
we
these
were
tournaments.
we were doing
We need to
some-
get him in here to talk with you guys.
We
about
should.
smallmouth. He's
We
been
were
asking to come
doing-
over and see my baby for like 2 weeks, and I keep ignoring him. Not ignoring him, but like Lindsay's,
Yeah.
coming over to see a baby's the thing.
Yeah.
And like, I need to have him come over, see the baby, and then we'll jut over here, do a podcast on smallmouth fishing.
So we did catch we wrote on the board it was a 5-pound smallie. But it was probably over 4 pounds on Lake Erie in December.
Yeah.
Really?
We were trolling, me and Will, we were trolling, and I didn't take a video that time.
I always,
Unfortunately.
you need to always at least have a GoPro.
I know.
God damn it.
We were trolling
Sorry, born again Matt. Sorry.
We were trolling shallow bandits with weights in 25 foot of water in December, hammering the walleye.
Yeah.
We caught over 100 pounds of fish that day. And we like only kept 12, but we caught so many fish, and we caught a smallie on a red and white shallow bandit. And it was one of our first fish.
Yeah.
And it was the craziest thing. And it was probably 4 pounds.
Should have waited.
We
You just yelling at him for not
We
weighing
were
his
so
fish.
Yeah, he was.
The problem is we were so worried about letting it go,
Yeah.
because it was like, oh, we caught it, we took a picture, and we let it go.
Really? Have you ever gone up to the lake and actually just strictly
I've
smallmouth?
never done that.
Dude, we need
Me
to
and
go.
you have talked about that
need to
several
do it.
times.
You know
'cause-
anybody that has a boat?
Yeah, his dad's got a
dad,
sweet
you're-
boat.
you got
I got
one?
a boat.
Yeah,
And
we
you
need
and
to
your
go.
dad do a lot of you don't do it that much, but your dad does a lot of walleye
Oh
fishing.
yeah, he hasn't been out this year though, but yeah, we need to go up there. I want to strictly smallmouth fish.
I think it would be fun.
I'm not crazy into the big trolling. The trolling, it's just kind
No.
of boring to me. So
I
I
don't-
would love to
yeah.
go up there and smallmouth fish. Or
Some of my best friends at work and good coworkers, Petrie and Chuck Smalley, they own literal walleye charters. That's what they do every day.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I have no desire, but I do want to get them on here to talk about walleye fishing sometime. I was going to bring it up at the end here. We're getting towards, we're in the bullshitting session again, I guess. I was going to bring up how your most successful videos on your YouTube channel, the Leaky John Boat Company, are trolling for walleye, trolling for crappie.
I know.
And they're not what you love to do.
It's the least fun thing ever.
Yeah. It's
It's
weird how,
it's fun when you're up there because it's December or March when you're up there. Like that's when I walleye fish. So it's like really the only kind of fishing you can do unless you're steelhead fishing. But
I know
so
your
boring.
true love is smallmouth river fishing.
I love smallie fishing, and no one watches my videos.
That's like me and my turkey hunting videos. I love filming turkey hunting videos. I started filming turkey hunting videos in 2006, and you can add up all the views from every turkey hunting video I've ever put out, and it won't even touch one good deer hunting video because people just care about deer hunting.
I know, and that's
no one cares about turkey hunting.
It's crazy to think. I mean, I know you get the chase in the video of chasing a mature buck, but like the turkey hunt videos, they're just so like high speed. Like they're
fun.
vocal, they're fun.
Turkey
you're
hunting
running
is just
around.
awesome, and for some reason, no one likes to watch
And
it.
it's like the same thing with smallmouth and walleye fishing. When
Yeah.
you're trolling for walleye, I mean that's boring, dude. Like it's boring.
Catch
to
a big
watch.
walleye
It
on a
is.
planer board. Luke gets 40,000 views on some
Yeah.
stupid YouTube video.
Compared to you, like, walking
no
through the
talent
woods.
required whatsoever.
Yeah.
But you catch a 5 pound
literally, like-
smallie, no one cares.
So on my way up there, I'll look up like on Lake Erie walleye. What's everyone doing? And then I'll just implement that in all my gear. I'll just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I hammer the fish.
yeah.
Anyone can do it if you want to spend $500.
yeah, it's
If
nothing.
you want to spend $500 on boards, couple rods, 10 different bandits, you can go to Lake Erie and you can catch fish.
You're gonna buy a boat for $300 too.
If you have a boat. If
He
you
had
have
an
a boat.
opportunity. Have you told Gavin about this yet?
I haven't told Gavin, but
God
it's sold.
dang it.
The smuggler.
The
was for
smuggler,
sale.
the original Leaky John Boat, went
Dude,
back
you
for
guys
sale.
you guys were talking about wanting to buy it.
I
back and
know. I
everything.
told Luke to go buy it, and he said sold instantly.
Oh my god.
he
It's
didn't
sold.
want. He didn't buy it. He's like, I don't got money for it right now.
Really?
And it's
God,
sold. And
you
I
should
looked
have bought
yesterday and it's sold. And I'm like, well, that's that.
Get a hold of the guy you sold it from.
They
and
blew up
find
the
out,
motor.
and found out.
really?
Find
I
out
don't even
who
want it
bought
back.
it.
I don't even want it back. They
Oh.
hillbillied it up. They painted everything camel.
They hillbillied it up off of what you did to it.
I had the trolling motor was still white when I sold it. All right, but they ruined it.
Where's
so
it at now? Is it far away? You
I'm
know?
sure it's far away now.
Where was it before?
It was in like Sandusky area. So whoever bought it used it for hunting. They put a nice blind on it. They put some speakers on it.
I'm mad that you got rid of it. Still,
I'm not. I'm not mad.
I mean, what kind of profit did you even make off that thing?
I didn't make it. I traded it for the walleye boat.
Was
And
it?
the walleye boat has gotten me 100,000 views. So it's totally worth it to me.
Yeah. I mean,
Not to me though.
I know.
We
but-
had big plans of taking that boat fishing out west,
yeah, but
hunting out west.
you don't even like. When are we gonna do that though?
that's a
Well, I mean, we'll
big
do
ass
it.
boat.
We
Yeah.
could.
That's a big ass job.
We towed that. Well, you towed a boat all the way to the Outer Banks once.
Yeah, we did. Like we fished off it for 20 minutes. That was so bad.
I watched that video the other day.
Which one?
The Outer Banks movie,
The old one or the Outer Banks movie?
the new one. It's
It's still so good.
it's so good. It's so good. What's the most interesting thing you've ever caught in one of these creeks, rivers? Like the most interesting.
The most interesting is definitely a yellow perch.
You think so?
I mean, other than that, smallmouth and largemouth and crappie.
Yeah, I would think.
But catching a jumbo 14-inch long yellow perch on a spinnerbait was like probably the coolest thing.
Yeah, that is interesting.
To me, it's catching the 3-pound smallmouth out of a river, a muddy river in the middle.
So we
of the
call it a
woods.
river, and
Yeah, it's
this
not-
thing's
Some
like,
people would say it's not. Other people would be like, yeah, it's a river.
Yeah.
It just depends on where you're from.
it's 10 feet wide.
The water.
Sometimes.
The basin, the actual entire basin's 50 feet wide. It's
Yeah.
just the water, depending on time of year.
Yeah,
In the summertime, it's not very big.
no. So that would definitely be.
It's long, though. I mean,
think
it's
that's
got to be,
interesting.
the river's got to be 60, 70 miles long total.
Yeah. I would say it's way over 60, 70 miles long, but
All our small creeks that we,
Yeah, just
these,
with how it
these
leaves.
creek drainages that we hunt around here all drain into it.
yeah.
And it does pattern deer and stuff, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely different to hunt around it. That's for sure.
That's a topic for another day. We will get into that.
Yeah.
Hunting around this river. Because I have some opinions. I know Gavin has some opinions on it, for sure.
Yeah.
I used to run trail cams down there on it before Gavin took over my spot, and I would get bucks crossing over neck deep all the time, like
Yeah.
on a daily basis. Bucks would cross that river neck deep, no problem,
Yeah.
like no problem.
Yeah, it's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
49 minutes, Luke. You were worried about getting 30.
I was.
We can add some more shit. We want to add. My wife hasn't texted me to come home and help take care of. Snapchat.
Oh god.
Well, I got a pee real bad, so we should wrap this thing up and then we can do something else. But we gotta get to going.
All right, last 5 minutes. Let's talk about Wildtine TV's schedule for posting videos. Joey doesn't seem like he wants to get these turkey videos out this spring because he wants to do them justice, he says.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wait to see the turkey hunts.
Yeah, definitely. It could have been a thing of posting these videos
If you learned how to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. If I learn how to do it, which I have the equipment to do it, and I do everything with the podcast and stuff like that, but it's just editing those videos for me is really difficult. And I would have to sit down with Joey for a week, man, a week of just basically schooling.
I don't think that's true.
No, I do. Just to me,
I mean,
it throws me for a loop.
If we want to narrow this down, if you spend the money on a setup that doesn't have any limitations,
Yep.
you don't even need a crazy setup, but a setup that has no limitations where you can edit 4K video without a super amount of lag.
Yep.
If you can just get your workflow down, it really doesn't take that long.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's only so much depending on what the hunt is, there's only so much you can do with the footage and the story. It's not like you have to, it's not like deer hunting where you have to go back and find trail cameras from 3 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
And, a hunt from 2010 when the buck was 2. You don't have to do that for turkey hunting. It's like what you film that day.
Exactly.
You throw it on there, you color grade it, you get your music, you put it out. It's really not that difficult.
Yeah.
I know Joey wants to get his good stuff out. There's the turkey hunting YouTube draw is like 0.
Yeah, I know.
THP's already done for the year.
Oh, really?
Isn't that weird to you? It's what, May 11th, and they're done posting turkey hunt videos.
I didn't know
THP's over. They're the last one 3 days ago. They're saving it all for next spring.
But no,
which is
yeah,
kinda
I
weird.
mean, which I'm going to learn this summer. That's my goal, is to learn and be able to help them and get everything edited up this summer and then have everything posted on cue next year.
Yeah.
I'm
looking forward to the bird's nest video, the chug.
Yeah,
whatever you
I
guys
mean,
call
it should be really, really good. I mean,
you
it
can't.
kinda-
I don't know how you can make a better video.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, you have
it's got it all.
years of Luke's bailing. He's got to pee. I gotta go. You gotta go.
But no, everything. Yeah, hopefully we have it on cue next year, and it should be posted and good. But for now, obviously, it's real dry for us, not posting the videos. But I don't know, man. That's just what's happening. And
Yeah, I mean, once turkey season's over, though, there's not a lot. I mean, some channels thrive on habitat stuff, but
Yeah.
there's only so many planting clover and
yeah, I know you're
hinge cutting trees videos you can even make.
Yeah.
It's not. It gets into a dry season. I know Isaac and Ethan are all nerding out on bows right now. They want to start doing archery stuff, and
Which that's kind of the route that Joey and Drake are doing. I mean,
Yeah.
they just bought the new bows, and I've been listening to Born Again's podcast. Shout out Born Again.
it's twice I've mentioned you in
Yeah,
this podcast.
I've been listening,
Matt.
and they've been making me itch. I definitely want to either really amp up my bow this year, new strings, possibly maybe buy a new bow. I haven't really decided yet. Just it's a big jump.
You can do 80-pound mods. You can get those, back in the day, they used to have those overdraws. So you could like have your arrow like right here, like, shoot a super short arrow.
I have
552 feet per second.
We were out in Pennsylvania at a trade show out there last year, and I shot a bow at, I think it was 93 pounds. And it actually was, it was pretty cool. Like I wouldn't be shy of shooting it was an Annihilator bow, and they hadn't even released it. I don't know if they have at this point, but
I haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, it was like some real little subcompact bow, and they freaking tuned that thing up to 93 pounds, and I pulled it back and shot it. And I wouldn't be shy of like trying the 80-pound mods, I guess, just because I've done that. But
my bow is 8 years old.
Yeah,
hasn't made a change.
Yeah,
I don't get into the archery thing as much as these guys, but Ethan and Isaac are way into it,
nerding out.
Yeah, they're nerding out. They're getting ready to release some videos, I guess, here soon. But
I would definitely like to at least put some new strings on my bow.
You gonna get a Matthews?
I don't know. I would shoot. I'm not biased on anything, and I know everyone's making the jump over to the
Everyone's
Matthews.
doing the Matthews, and I guess I don't have a problem with the Matthews. But I have. It's funny, like. I haven't a Nick on the podcast in a while. We've kind of talked about this a little bit. He's had a lot of problems with his Matthews bows.
That's what I've heard from you.
He had a bow blow up while Cromer. Another shout out to Born Again. Cromer had his bow, and some shit happened, and they blew it up in the shop. And then he got it back, and I can't remember how exactly the details. But he had it back. He actually went to draw on a buck, and it blew up again. It de-strung itself.
Gotcha.
It popped out.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm glad he didn't shoot that buck because he ended up killing a better one. But he's had a lot of problems with those Matthews, and they're trying to say it was all user error. Nick's trying to say he torqued it, thumb release something, whatever. I don't even know what that means. I'm a straight up hillbilly. I know I draw my bow back and the string don't come off. His did twice. So I don't know if Matthews has a known problem, but they are selling a lot. Everyone around here is going to Matthews. Literally everyone. Yep. Isaac, Luke, Ethan, your guys' crew, all of Born Again. Like they're all shooting Matthews.
We've all been Hoyt from the start. Like,
the problem with Hoyt is if you want the top of the line Hoyt, it's like what, $2,000 bare bow?
Yeah, I don't know what the aluminum
$1,500, $1,800, $2,000 for just the bow.
I know the carbon is freaking outrageous.
That's incredible. But, I'm shooting a carbon bow, but it's 8 years old.
Yeah, my bow is 4 years old now. Like I said, I would like to put new strings on it just to get it shooting. I think they've stretched out and get it shooting a little bit quicker, but I don't know.
My bow on the Chrono was shooting, I want to say, 287 or 292.
Really?
So I don't, even though it's 8 years old, it's accurate and it's shooting almost 300 feet per second. What's the point of changing?
Yeah, you're right.
I shoot a light arrow. I am switching my vanes this year to zingers.
Is that what
that's what Ethan's been shooting?
Oh, you're going with those, huh?
He loves them.
Yeah,
Isaac loves the arrow flight. He's been doing some slow motion with this camera. You can do 300 frame a second.
Really?
He's been doing slow motion video of his arrow flight. He says he really likes it. They just pop off. You pop them back on. I've been using shrink wrap. I'm old school. I've been using those like you put in boiling water. The boning archery.
Yeah, I know what
shrink wrap.
About. Yeah.
And they rip, they tear, they slide off. I had to slide them back on. Got to put a dot of glue on them. Just a bunch of shit that I don't want to deal with anymore. So I think I might switch to zingers and see how my bow shoots, honestly.
Yeah, they're a cool idea.
I like how you can just have a pocket full of them and if they pop off, you just throw another one on. Like, who cares,
You blow through a target or miss and one freaking pops off. You just pop it back on if it didn't, rip or tear or just have other ones.
We're going to have some archery days out here. We do need to buy some more targets. Like we have our 18-sided Reinhardts over there, but that thing, you can still shoot through it right now. It's in bad shape.
Yeah, I need to get a new target.
We're going to get some new targets, set up a range, and have some bow days here at the farm. I know Nick wants to do the Total Archery Challenge, the TAC or whatever.
Yeah, Joey's going to the one in Pennsylvania.
I think Nick's doing that one too.
Really?
I think Nick, don't quote me, I think Kasich or Seth or one of those guys is going with him. He already purposely signed himself up so that he had to do it and shoot his bow, I guess. We'll have more on that in the future. But yeah, archery stuff's coming this summer. I got some food plot stuff coming out, and then give it a couple months, and I guess we'll have velvet bucks. We'll see each other driving around.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
I can't wait either. I'm curious what the local crop of deer is going to look like. I know there are some good bucks that lived, but
yeah, definitely.
The buck you shot last year was the one that we were all watching last summer and keeping an eye on. So it's going to be there's a whole new landscape this year. Exactly. That we're going to be watching forward to.
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's like a whole new chapter for me. I got to try to find another one, and I got some in mind, but.
Yeah, I obviously have some in mind too, but I'm not married to anything. I'm
No.
an opportunistic feeder. Whatever happens
Yep.
is what I'll go for.
Yeah, I agree. Do you ever hear anything more about the dead buck found?
No, we haven't talked about it on the podcast, but apparently 2 guys told me. I know. So I actually kind of know the guy that found it. I haven't messaged him. I should probably just message him.
Yeah,
but
dude.
Apparently 2 guys I know that work with a guy that knows a guy that is related to a guy that is neighbors with the guy.
Yeah.
Found a dead 16-point buck in our area. And I haven't seen a picture of it yet. I haven't found a picture, and they haven't supplied me with a picture yet. So we got to figure out what deer that is. Off the rip, a dead 16-point doesn't mean anything to us because we don't have any 16 points. But like Gavin has said, it could be little stickers they're counting or something. And there was 1 or 2 deer, one deer I guess in particular that kind of fits the narrative that
Kinda
might
worried
have
about it.
disappeared and might have been the one that was found dead. Ironically enough, in one of these streams that we podcasted about today. So I got to figure that out. That would suck if we lost. And we thought that deer was younger, right? Like a 3-year-old.
Yep.
So that if that deer got killed or died or car hit or got shot or what have you, found dead in a river, that would set us back a little bit.
Yeah, that one would sting because like 3-year-old potential to be something. Really
there was another deer in the area of that deer that we were after, like not after, but we were keeping an eye on late season. And I think it might have got killed too. There was no evidence of it after maybe muzzleloader season, which kind of sucks. But these deer have a way of disappearing and then coming back. So we don't know.
Yeah,
Could still be alive, but
exactly.
that's Deer Shot Podcast episode 42. We talked about deer hunting, turkey hunting, smallmouth bass fishing, small creeks,
Everything.
archery stuff. It was a lot longer than we thought it was going to be. So
We're at an hour.
I'll have to get home and start working on this to get it out on Monday. But thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, all that stuff. Check out Wildtine TV and the Wildtine TV talk show. What do you call it?
Wildtine Talk Show.
Wildtine talk
Yep,
show.
that's our podcast.
That's their podcast. 6 episodes.
Yeah, we got our 7th one coming out on Tuesday.
Did Joey and Hunter just kill a bird together today?
I haven't seen any pictures. I know.
I thought I saw that on Snapchat that they killed one.
They might have. Joey's out in Wisconsin with the Rolling Thunder guys, and I don't. Joey's filming for him, but
sure, I guess I would have to.
Before Joey left, he's like.
Nope, that's Tyler. That's Tyler shooting with Joe Sharnigo. I'll have to get him on the podcast sometime. Professional shooter.
Joey said they're probably going to kill a lot of birds. Last year when they went to Wisconsin, they freaking wrapped it up out there. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they killed some birds. I know them guys. Them guys know how to kill turkeys. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
That's for sure. So
they kill more than we do.
Oh
But
yeah.
1 weekend left. There's 1 week left in Ohio. 2 weeks left in Pennsylvania. Kentucky's over. So there'll be.
Is Kentucky over this weekend?
Kentucky's over. Yep.
And Ethan and Dylan are down there right now.
Yep.
Okay.
No, they're not. Nope. They went to Southern Ohio.
Oh, they did.
And they got rained the fuck out.
Oh, really?
Rained the fuck out. I think Ethan's inside.
Oh, really?
Ethan might actually be here right now.
Oh, my God.
If the fact that the camera that we're recording on is the one he had with him, I think he's here.
Oh.
He might, but I haven't seen him yet.
Gotcha.
Unless he's with his girlfriend. But Deer Shot Podcast episode 42. We're out.
See ya.